is Friday, everybody. Congratulations. You did it. You made it to another Friday. You made it through another week of this apocalyptic year of 2020. Congratulations, everybody. Round of applause. I love to clap. I'm like a what's the old Cowboys Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett. I'm like a Jason Garrett disciple, dude. I'm a clapper just like him. Straight clapping all the time. But how has your week been? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Let me know. Tell me right now. Vent a little bit. You could pause this podcast and talk about whatever you need. If you need it, do it. If not, just let it keep it playing. But I'll give you a second to pause if you need to. Well, if you told me that it was a good week, awesome. I'm glad that it's been a great week. Hope that continues. If it hasn't been, I have something a little different for you this episode that hopefully will get you in a little bit better spirits, and something that helps me get lifted out of a bad mood is listening to somebody talk about something that they really, really, really love, something that they were really passionate about, something that makes the other person happy, and hearing them talk about it makes me happy too. Maybe not as much as them, but it plants the seed of positivity within my mind that allows me to kind of smile more than I would before I listen to that person talk about their passion. And I'm going to be talking about mine today. I've been listening to old podcasts that I did from season 1, old closing out the weeks. And there's one that I talked about like Thanksgiving and holidays and just rambled on about how I was like taking a class at Sac State at the time. And there was, it got me thinking about all these like holidays and how these holidays started and stuff, right? And I realized, I'm like, man, I haven't done a podcast like that where I just kind of let my mind kind of go in a long time. It's been almost a year. It's been probably a year since I've done a podcast like that. So yeah, there's no script, no articles, no politics. It's just me talking about the thing that I love, one of the things I love. But out of anything else in this world, it's probably music. I love music. We have a lot of musicians on the podcast that I've connected with, that I've networked with, and I've been lucky enough to network with and get to know, every artist that has been on this show, whether it was season 1, season 1.5, or season 2. It's been great getting to know so many people. And I just want to talk about, if I may, where it all started. For me with music. I was showered in the sounds of R&B and Motown by my parents, and also by the sounds of traditional Spanish and Mexican ballads. My dad was in a trio, right? A Spanish trio, and they would play those like standard songs of that genre. They're called Trio Intimo, and their one album is on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, anywhere you can get your music. You should check it out. It's pretty awesome. I think even if you don't understand Spanish, you would enjoy it. Anyways, that's where it kind of like started for me. And I was raised on R&B, Motown, and that type of music. That's like all I listened to the first like 8 years of my life. I didn't know anything other than that. I would hear some popular songs on the TV, in shows, commercials, but I never really had any drive to find a sound that was my own, in any sense. And then one day, this didn't happen in a day, but basically what happened was, in the course of like a year, I was introduced to rock music by multiple people, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. So, from what I remember, at latter part of elementary school, I started playing this game online called the wrestling game. I was super into wrestling when I was like in 5th grade, and It's basically you like I've talked about it on the podcast before with my best friend Gavin, but you level up your guy or woman. You can play as a woman too in the game, and you become a pro wrestler, right? That's the whole point of this text-based game. And if you get good enough at it, you can join federations, which are basically like the WWE or AEW. I think that's what the new one's called. You could join like companies, fake companies, and have your fake wrestler wrestle in fake pay-per-views for these fake companies. It's crazy. Like it's I could do a whole episode just on that. But anyways, I got into one of those federations, and one of the people in that game, in that federation, showed me a song by a band named A Day to Remember. It was the song A Plot to Bomb the Panhandle. That's the name of the song. I was blown away. I just couldn't contextualize exactly what I was feeling, but all I knew was this is badass. This is a badass song. I love this song. This is a sick, sick song. So, I like fell down the rabbit hole of ADTR, and I didn't listen to any other like scene or emo bands at the time. That was like the only band I kind of listened to. And then, like I mentioned, my best friend Gavin, he introduced me to Linkin Park subsequently after that at some point. And then my older brother, Zach, who's also been on the podcast once, he introduced me to a bunch of music over one summer when I stayed with him and my grandma for like a couple weeks. I remember him having me in his car and just like playing a bunch of like new metal music, just like quizzing me on who this band is. Who is this band? Who is this band? I didn't know anything, but I wanted to play it off like I knew to be cool, but I didn't know anything. And around this time, I was playing bass. I actually was gifted a bass by my dad when I was 10, and to give some context of when I started getting into rock music, I was like around 11 and a half. But in my mind, those times seemed so distant from each other, but they were really close. But yeah, my dad gave me a bass, and I didn't like playing the stuff that he had me play. He had me play a bunch of Motown and the stuff I grew up, which was cool, and I enjoyed it, but I wanted to play what I wanted to play, but I just didn't know what it was. This wasn't fulfilling, Playing those songs didn't fulfill something within me. So I just got bored of it, and I just stopped playing. Then to go back to rock music, I discovered that through the circumstances that I disclosed already. And at that point, I was, like rounding into my own. I was in middle school. By the time I really got it, I was like head first into like just the expansive sea that is rock music. And I wanted to be in a band. I picked up the bass again. I started playing, and I would jam out by myself to, a bunch of bands. So many that I can't even name. I'm not even going to try. But I was really into like scene bands in my early high school years, and a couple friends of mine who were older, they wanted to start a band and they needed a bassist, so I joined that band. It was a dumpster fire. It was terrible. What was difficult is none of us knew how to play the guitar, not even the guitarists knew how to play the guitar. They were relying on me to teach them how to play the guitar, and I didn't even know how to play. So it was pretty difficult to get anything done. We actually didn't do anything at all. It was pretty terrible, but I learned a lot just about what I didn't want to like be around in music. A lot of egos and stuff. I didn't want to deal with any of that, which, I don't because I do solo stuff now. But after that, I took like about a year off of playing any music with in a band or anything like that. And I was just focused on my school, and I actually, was going through some personal stuff at the time, first relationships and everything when you're in high school. And that's how I started learning how to play guitar. I was sad, right? Because, how fucking high school relationships go, never work out. So I was like sad that it wasn't working out, and I wanted to express my sadness. So I picked up the guitar and I like forced myself to learn how to play. And it was a long process. I would say that the process of me learning guitar is still continuing to this day. I don't think I'll ever be done. Regardless, that's how I started playing guitar at the age of 16. And then eventually, shortly after I started playing guitar, I started singing. I realized I could sing. I would sing around the house, and my mom and dad wouldn't tell me that I sucked. So I took that as it being a good sign. Like I said in the beginning, my dad sings and was in a trio for a long time. My mom knows how to sing very well, so they know what they're doing in that lane of musical in the musical landscape. So I definitely trusted their opinions, and they were right. I could sing. I can't sing. From that point, I realized, okay, I want to make music on my own. I just didn't know what I wanted it to sound like. I didn't know what I wanted it to revolve around. I didn't know what I wanted the themes of the music to be. I didn't even know how to record anything. I didn't know how to record a thing. I didn't know anything about computers, really. I didn't know anything about equipment, gear, anything. I knew that I wanted to try to do something on my own. It took me a long time to get to the point to be able to do that. I actually, once I started college, that's when I started seriously looking into recording and stuff, because prior to that, I didn't have the money. My parents wouldn't have purchased all the gear I would have needed in order to get going on my own musical project. They just couldn't afford it. So I started working, and through that is how I gained the capital to be able to, purchase the audio interface that I still use to this day. Be able to, I was gifted my electric guitar by my dad on my 18th birthday, which I thank him for. Without that, oh my God, I don't know how I'd be able to play rock music without an electric guitar. You can do it. Folk punk exists, but it would be a lot more difficult for the type of music that I listened to, or I listen to now, to be able to make music like that. But I know I'm going pretty fast. I just don't want to take too much time telling you all my musical story, my musical past. But basically, I went to SF State, like I've mentioned dozens of times on the show. I went to SF State for my first year of college, and through that, I really, 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 really realized that I need music. Everything prior to that was me kind of dipping my feet in and kind of trying to see if I could do, or I could be good at music. In SF is when I truly realized I loved writing songs. That was the first time I really, truly sat down and wrote a song and came up with a chorus and verses and all those things that make a song, and found chords, and that whole process, that specific process, writing a song, I fell in love with. That's the fulfillment that I was looking for when I was playing bass to Earth, Wind, and Fire September with my dad when I was 10. And there I was at the age of 18, 19, writing songs in my little garage apartment in SF, realizing that this is what I loved. This is what I was looking for. And nothing has really been able to fulfill me quite like that. But it's an interesting type of passion, because that's the type of passion that you can't force. It's the type of passion that just comes to you. You can work at that. You can work at having that passion come to you more, having that inspiration come to you more, and being able to flip it like a switch. And that's what I've been working on. But sometimes you just can't flip it, and you got to give yourself a break. And that's really, really, really tough. But once I found that I had a love and a passion for songwriting and lyricism, then that's when everything clicked. And I started breaking down and researching and analyzing, I guess is a better word, not researching, but analyzing my favorite songs and seeing exactly why do I love these songs. And I realized through my analyzation that I am a sucker for a melody. And I know that doesn't make me special. Everyone is a sucker for a melody, I would say. Most people like music that has a really, really strong melody and a groove. But for me, the melody supersedes everything. For me, if you have a great melody, I do not give a shit what you're saying. of course, save from anything that's like super insanely offensive or vile, or there are things that I would not listen to a song if somebody was saying some really derogatory things with a great melody. I still wouldn't listen. But there's other stories I can delve into about my current state of music fandomness, what I listen to now. But we don't really have that much time to go into everything like that. But the type of music I listen to now, and I've mentioned it many times on the show already, is a subgenre of rock called shoegaze. I love shoegaze, and dream pop is another kind of adjacent genre. And I am a huge admirer of bands in that genre, such as Nothing, Slowdive, My Bloody Valentine, I don't know how to pronounce their name, but the COTW twins from like the 80s, New Order is kind of considered that, Joy Division is kind of considered in that realm, Mogwai, Gleamer, there's a ton of bands that I listen to. Slow Crush is one of my favorites currently. Alcest is another one, but that's enough of like my influences today. But what that genre consists of is vocals that are very low. You're not really supposed to understand what they're saying, but it doesn't mean that what they are saying is not profound, right? So I was very inspired by that philosophy of saying like, or thinking like, if you write a song that has really, really strong lyrics, but those lyrics aren't necessarily pronounced, they're not like the thing that people listen to specifically, because there's a lot of people. Quinn is a person that we've had many conversations about this, and he is this type of person where if you cannot understand what they are saying, it's not his thing. He's just, it just isn't for him. And I respect that a lot. But I am not that way. If I cannot understand what they're saying, but the melody is really strong, and then I go back and I look online and I see exactly what they're saying, and it's really, really beautiful and profound, that just makes me love the song so much more. And shoegaze also mixes a lot of heavy fuzz and distortion with a lot of reverb and echo effects and delay and some flanger, and it's a beautiful mix of sounds that I have fallen in love with over the past couple years. And that is what is influencing me today. I just wanted to disclose all this to you, to bring it all the way back around, because I feel like in today's day and age, in today's state of things, there's a lot of people creating. There's a lot of creative people. I totally, I am one of those people. But I feel like there's not a lot of transparency, and you would think that there's more transparency because of social media. You could see exactly how people, got from point A to point B. But look, if you're considering starting a podcast, or if you're considering making music or writing a book, or creating your own recipe from scratch, if you want to plant a garden and you don't know how to start, anything remotely creative, you want to paint a painting, you bought a canvas, you bought the paint, you just don't know where to start, but you want to make it happen. There's a lot of cliches that, I could throw at you right now and tell you, hey, just do it. Just start it and you'll figure it out. There's a lot of things, but to give you some like tangible advice, the thing that I would say to you is that look at the people who you admire that do the exact thing you're doing. Look at, so let's take that painting example. So if you have a painter that you really, really love, and let's say they have an Instagram, they're a current painter, not like Van Gogh or anything like that, but you could analyze those paintings. But look at somebody that you really admire that's within your sphere, right? And see what they post about their paintings. If they have any time-lapse videos, if they have any sketches that they do, see exactly what their process is. Try to hone in on exactly what it is that they do. What is their step-by-step thing? It's going to take time, maybe, depending on who you're shadowing, to figure it out. But that is my one key piece of advice. Look at somebody that inspires you to want to be creative and see exactly what they do and replicate that. And you may fall on your face a couple times because you don't know exactly what you're doing, but you'll figure it out in the sense that you will make it your own process eventually. So that's what I've done over the past, I was 16 when I started playing guitar. Yeah, so the past 7 years, that's what I've been doing. And I'm just starting with music. I'm 23 now, about to be 24. And I've only put out like one EP. I'm getting better and I'm progressing a lot, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And there's no time like the present to start, but analyzing and researching the people that inspire you will take you very far and get you to where you want to be a lot faster than if you just kind of go for it. If you just opened the paints and the brushes and just started splattering shit on a canvas, you won't really learn everything you need to that way. Look at the people that are doing it, that are doing what you want to do. Try to find any little piece of information, anything to get you to that next step. That's my piece of advice. And that has been this episode of Closing Out the Week with the Closers Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Marco Alvarado. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at The Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are The Closers Podcast. On Monday, Quinn, the Moondog Kalani, will be at you with Hang 10, a new episode of Hang 10, talking most likely about the Rams' Week 8 win, loss, or draw. We'll see exactly what it is, but he's a huge Rams fan, so he usually talks about that on Mondays. And then on Wednesday, it is the big, probably the biggest podcast we've ever done to date, and that is the election pod. There's a lot that we have to break down. Gabriella Elwell is coming back on the show, along with, hopefully, Maxwell Thogmartin, to break down everything that's happening that night. So it's going to be a doozy of a podcast. And definitely do not miss that on Wednesday morning. Hopefully we will have results by then, but we will see. Until then, have a great weekend and stay inspired.